Around 7 p.m., Ada was rushing home along the quiet part of the community. She had gone to see her best friend, but she lost track of time. Her mother had warned her many times not to stay out late, and she knew she would be in serious trouble when she got home. But as she got to the junction just before she could bend the corner into her street, a hand suddenly pressed a handkerchief across her face. Ada struggled, but the strange smell was too strong. Her vision went dark and she fell unconscious. When she finally opened her eyes, she was laying in a small dirty room. The walls were cracked and an old iron bed stood at the corner. Suddenly, 2 men walked in laughing. Their faces were hidden behind rough masks. One of them leaned forward and whispered, "This one will be so sweet. I'll go first." Ada's eyes widened in horror. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. She kicked and struggled, but she was too weak. They had their way with her, and when they were done, they called her to the 2 huge men standing by the door. "Make her disappear," one of them ordered coldly, "and make sure nobody finds her." That night was the last time anyone in the village ever saw Ada alive.
If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please support us by hitting the subscribe button, like, share, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks.
The village of Okanta was a place many outsiders admired. It was booming with trade, new houses were rising, and people traveled from faraway places just to do business there. But behind the smiles and busy markets, there was a shadow. Young girls, beautiful girls, were vanishing. It had been happening for years, and no matter how many times the chiefs discussed it, no matter how many warnings parents gave their daughters, the disappearances never stopped. Elders set up vigilante groups to watch the night. Parents locked their doors, yet girls still went missing. And now the latest victim was Ada, the only daughter of Mama Ada. At the village square, the chief sat in council as people cried and shouted for answers. Eda Okorie, a man known for his temper, stood up banging his staff. "Enough is enough. How many more daughters must we bury in silence before we find the truth? This village is turning into a cursed place for women." Another elder, Nnamdi, raised his hands calmly. "We must seek the face of the gods. Let the chief priest reveal to us what ordinary eyes cannot see." The chiefs agreed. A day was set for the entire community to gather at the square. On the next market day, the drums were beating and the people came together. Men, women, children, all waiting to hear what the priest would say. The moment the chief priest, DBA, entered the square, silence fell. He wore his red wrappers, his staff decorated with feathers, and his face painted with chalk. He sat on the background, poured libations, and he began his incantations. The crowd trembled as he spoke. At last he lifted his head. "The gods have spoken. The truth is revealed." The villagers clapped and shouted, their hearts hopeful. But when DBA revealed the message, a cold wind seemed to sweep across the square. "There is a stray tiger," he announced, "that roams at night. This tiger hungers for flesh, and the maidens of this land have been its prey. It is the tiger who takes your daughters, not man but beasts." Gasp filled the square. Mothers clutched their daughters. Men exchanged fearful glances. But some whispered amongst themselves, "How is this possible? Why has no one seen this tiger all these years? Why only girls? Why not goats, cows, or even men?" Still, the chief priest was trusted, and his words were taken as truth. A committee of hunters were immediately formed to track and kill the beast. For a time, people felt a little safer, but evil was not yet done. One night, the head hunter Obinna went out for patrol without eating dinner. His wife, worried, cooked for him and called their daughter, Chiamaka, to deliver the food. "Mother, it is late," Chiamaka hesitated. They say the tiger moves at night. Just run there and come back, her mother insisted. Your father must not go hungry. Chiamaka obeyed. She carried the calabash of food and found her father deep in the bush with the other hunters. Obinna was shocked. My daughter, what are you doing here at this time? Mama sent me. She said you left without eating. Obinna sighed heavily, then touched her head. Thank you, my daughter. Thank you, my child. Now go back at once. Do not look back. Do not stop. Chiamaka turned and hurried along the narrow path. But before she reached home, something burst out of the bushes. A handkerchief pressed against her face. She struggled as she was carried into the bushes. When she woke, she was in the same terrible room Ada had been, and in front of her stood two marksmen. This one is Tina, one of them sneered. The Tina, the sweeter, the other replied, laughing. They defied her, then called for the huge men again. Dispose of her. Make sure the tiger gets the blame this time. By morning, Mama Chiamaka was wailing outside her hut. Obinna returned from the night patrol, saw her tears and froze. His daughter was gone. The matter was rushed to the chiefs. Eda Okorie, furious, stood up once again. This tiger must die today. Gather the men at once. A search party was formed. Hours later, they returned with Chiamaka's bloodied clothes, torn and stained. The villagers wept, convinced the tiger had struck again. Fear gripped Okanta. But life in the village went on. Trade still flourished and strangers still came. Parents simply held their daughters tighter, warning them never to stay out late. Until one market day, a stranger arrived. Her name was Amara. She was not like any other woman the village had ever seen. Her beauty was like a sculpture of the gods. Her skin glowed, her eyes shone, and her figure, especially her curves, made men lose their breath. As she walked through the market, jaw dropped. Men forgot their wares. Women whispered. Children stared. Who is she? Someone murmured. Which family does she belong to? Another asked. Amara approached the fruit stall of Mama Ezinne. She smiled politely. Good afternoon, Ma. I am Amara, daughter of Mama Inena. Please, can you direct me to her house? Mama Ezinne's face fell. My child, Mama Inena has been dead for years. And as far as we know, she had no daughter alive. Her only daughter had disappeared long ago. Amara stood stunned. Her daughter disappeared? She whispered. The fruit seller nodded sadly, then pointed her towards the old compound. Amara thanked her and left, her steps elegant, her body swaying like palm fronds in the wind. Many men licked their lips as they watched her go. Within days, news of Amara spread everywhere. Men, even elders, became restless, eager to see this goddess-like woman. Despite her charm, villagers still warned her. Beware the tiger, do not walk late at night. Amara would nod with a faint smile, but her eyes seemed to hide something deeper. One evening, as she walked past the compound of Elder Okorie, he noticed her. His eyes followed her curves until she disappeared from sight. He called his servant, "Bring her to me." The next day, he sat waiting. When Amara passed, the servant rushed to invite her. She came respectfully, and Okorie smiled, gesturing to his chair. "Sit, my daughter," and she sat. "Sit, my dear." "Thank you, sir, but I am rushing somewhere," she replied gently. "Then come back this evening. I wish to know you better." Amara smiled shyly and agreed. That night, she came to his house. Elder Okorie, who already had 3 wives, wasted no time. He showered her with sweet words. "You are special, Amara. I want you as my wife. Say yes and I will give you everything." She blushed, but when he leaned closer, she placed her lips on his ears. "If you truly want me, come to my house tomorrow evening, alone." She pulled away with a mysterious smile and left. The next evening, Amara was peeling oranges in her house when a knock came. Eda Okorie stepped in grinning. She offered him fruit, and as he sucked the juice, his eyes lingered on her. He moved closer, but before he could touch her, dizziness swept over him. He collapsed on her bed, snoring. Amara smiled wickedly. Another knock. Eda Unamdi entered. He too had been invited. Amara welcomed him sweetly, gave him oranges, listened to his praises, and soon he also collapsed, fast asleep. Turns out Amara had also played the same trick on Eda Unamdi. When both men woke, they were no longer in Amara's house. They were in the dirty room in the bush, the same room where Ada and Chiamaka had been kidnapped into. The two chiefs trembled. "Amara, what is this? Why have you brought us here?" A laugh filled the room. Amara stepped in, but before their eyes, her body began to change. Her fine clothes melted away, her form twisted, and suddenly, standing before them, was a young girl in torn dress. A girl they both recognized from many years ago. Their eyes bulged, their mouths quivered. It was Inena. She tilted her head and whispered, "Now, do you remember this place?" The two chiefs fell to their knees, shaking. "Forgive us," Okorie cried. We didn't mean to. We were young. It was long ago. Please, spirit, forgive us." Amara, or rather Unena, smiled darkly. "After what you did to me, you want forgiveness?" The men wept, their secrets unraveled in the shadows of that cursed room. Her voice dropped into a haunting whisper. "Do you think I forgot? Do you think the gods forgot?" And then the past came alive. Many years ago, when Okorie and Unamdi were still young, they had both desired Unena. Okorie especially burned with lust, but she rejected him again and again. Her refusal wounded his pride, so he plotted. Together with Unamdi and their friend Obina the hunter, they hatched a wicked plan. They kidnapped her, dragged her into this very room, and committed the unspeakable. When they were done, they killed her to hide their sin. From that night, their lives took different paths. Obina was consumed with regret. He cut ties with them and swore never to live in sin again, and tried to live honestly. But Okorie and Unamdi, they discovered they enjoyed the evil. Since that day, they had been secretly hiring men to kidnap girls. Afterwards, wearing masks, they would defile the maidens themselves, and to protect their names as respected chiefs, they bribed the chief priest Dibie to deceive the people. The so-called tiger attack had only been a cover-up. As the truth sank in, both chiefs fell on their knees. "Please, Inena, forgive us. We are sorry." Inena's eyes burned like fire. "For years, my spirit wandered in darkness, restless. The gods allowed me to return because your wickedness had gone too far. Tonight, justice will be done." The chiefs screamed, but their voices vanished into the night. The next morning, at the market square, traders arrived early, only to drop their baskets in shock. On top of a wooden table lay two heads, bloodless, lifeless, the heads of Elder Okorie and Elder Unamdi. A crowd gathered, fear and awe gripped their hearts. Mothers pulled their children close, men muttered, "Who could have done this? Is this the tiger again? No, this is something else." When they ran to consult the chief priest for answers, his shrine was empty, his compound deserted. Dibie had vanished. The people whispered something terrible was unfolding in Okanta. But after killing Elder Okorie and Elder Unamdi, Amara didn't leave. That evening, she went to the house of Obina the hunter, whose daughter Chiamaka had recently gone missing. She sat with Obinna and his wife by the fire, speaking softly, sharing their sympathy. "I too lost my sister years ago," she said. "I know your pain." Her words comforted them. Before leaving, she pulled Obinna aside and whispered, "Meet me tomorrow evening on the village path. I will show you the very place my sister vanished. Perhaps it will give you a clue. Perhaps your daughter still lives." Obinna's heart leaped with hope. Thank you, I will come. But tell no one," she warned, "not even your wife." And he agreed. The next evening, Obinna met her as promised. They walked deep into the bush. With every step, Obinna's chest grew tight. Something about the path felt familiar, yet frightening. Suddenly, he stopped. "No, I cannot go further than this. This place, it is cursed." Amara turned slowly, her smile sharp. "Cursed? But we are so close. Why do you fear?" "I have changed. I have left my past behind. I cannot." But as he turned to run, his legs froze. His arms stiffened. His body no longer obeyed him. He stood shaking, eyes wide in awe. Amara let out a long, chilling laugh. "You cannot escape what you did, Obinna. Follow me now." Helplessly, his body moved. Step by step, he followed her into the bush house. Inside, Obinna gasped in horror. On the floor lay the headless bodies of Okorie and Nnamdi. He staggered back. His eyes darted to Amara, her beauty twisted, melting away. Before him stood the young maiden they had once killed, Nnenna, dressed in torn clothes, her face filled with vengeance. Obinna fell to his knees. "Please spare me. I regret what I did. I cut ties with them. I swore never again." Nnenna's spirit laughed bitterly. "You regret? And yet your daughter, your sweet Chiamaka, was among their victims. The blood of your own child cries out against you." Obinna's wail pierced the room. He beat his chest, weeping. No, my daughter. My sins have returned to destroy me." Nnenna's eyes glowed. "Your daughter's blood has been avenged. For that reason, you will live. But only if you confess before the whole village. Speak the truth, or I will return for you. The gods will not be mocked." And in an instant, she vanished. Obinna stumbled out of the bush like a madman, running through the dark path until he burst into the village square. There, the people were already gathered, trembling. For in front of them stood the missing chief priest, DBA, dragged back by a power none could explain. His voice shook as he confessed. "For years I lied. I took bribes from the chiefs. I told you a tiger killed your daughters, but it was not so. Okorie and Nnamdi, they kidnapped, defied and murdered your maidens. I covered their sins, and now the gods have exposed me." The crowd roared in anger, but Obinna fell to his knees before them, tears streaming down his face. "It is true. I too was guilty many years ago. I joined them in the first sin. I helped them destroy Nnenna. But afterward, I repented and turned away. Still, I kept silent. My silence killed my own daughter." The crowd gasped. Some screamed, others spat at him. Mothers clutched their daughters, eyes blazing with fury. The chief's family, the priest's family, Obinna's family, all of them were dragged out. That day, the chief's name were cursed forever. The priest and Obinna, together with their households, were banished from Okanta, never to return. And beyond banishment, the state authorities soon arrived, and both men were taken into chains, charged with murder, conspiracy, and sacrilege. And as the dust settled, whispers spread across Okanta. Some said the gods themselves had sent Nnenna's spirit through Amara to bring justice. Others believed she was still among them, watching, ensuring no daughter of Okanta would ever suffer again. But one thing was certain, the village would never forget the vengeance of the girl who returned from the dead.
For more interesting and amazing stories like this, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, and thanks for watching. We love you.